definitely need to set up the other monitor I have.
Dude, I'm using like, I'm not even kidding you, like a television from like maybe like 2010,
Yeah.
and I literally don't care at this point. Like I couldn't go back to using one monitor.
Really?
It's so nice, man. Like you just get so much. It's just so easier.
So much easier.
So much easier. Yes.
Look at me right now.
It's Saturday. It's Saturday.
It's
Like, come
Saturday.
on.
We're allowed to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. What's up, Nick?
Nick. Good
Nick.
night last night. I heard.
What's going on, Steve?
What's up, Steve? How are you, man?
How'd you guys do last night? We'll let some
Pretty good
people
night, Mike.
people tune in here. Yeah, like I was a little upset after the 7 p.m. games ended, but Colorado saved us. They were one of my favorite stocks yesterday too. They just had good value, good matchup, and they paid off. You?
Yeah. Same thing. Just the Colorado stack, that big line being back together just paid dividends, and the entire team just seemed pissed off that they lost to St. Louis.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. What's up, Lion? 150 cents, not bad. Yeah, I think the best thing that I did was made sure I put Makar in all my McKinnon lines, and then just that correlation was awesome there. I felt like every goal that McKinnon was scoring, or that first line, Makar was part of it, so it paid off.
I tuned into the game a little later on stream last night, and Makar just made the nastiest pass like right up the middle to McKinnon, and he just separates himself so quickly from like other opponents. He's just so fast, right? He just clear breakaway and roofed it.
Yeah,
so
yeah, for sure.
You love that correlation.
Yeah, it's just I couldn't believe the ownership was like under 10% for Landeskog and Rantanen. I mean, I guess the matchup was hard, but I mean, they scored 5 power play goals last night. Like, it just seemed like St. Louis couldn't keep up. I mean, Binnington's I'm not too big of a Binnington fan either, so it's just like it's hard. I get O'Reilly's a good defensive center and that line's good defensively, but I mean, you can't really line match against McKinnon or McDavid. Like,
Yeah.
there's two players you can't line match against, and it's them too.
Yeah, there's a reason why like people have been saying like that's just the best line in hockey for the past couple of years, outside of like the McDavid-Draisaitl duo. But
yeah, when they're aligned.
you can't do anything about that. Like that line just works so well together. Like even with Landeskog, like he's not the flashiest player, but he's the guy that's gonna go and get the puck for McKinnon and Rantanen, and just like he's got good enough hands where he's able to like contribute offensively as well.
Yeah. Yo, I would Connor Hart. You mean Carter Hart? Yeah, he Hart was one of my
Saturday.
I know it's Saturday. Hart was actually my favorite goalie pick this year. If you watched my top 5 must-own players, Hart was one of the players. He was the only goalie on that list. He's elite.
That Philly team looks good.
If you have any Canadians here, he's the starting goalie. Well, maybe. I still think Price is a starting goalie for the Olympic team, but Carter Hart's definitely making a case right now. All right, so I guess we'll get started. We have 10 people in here. Carter, yeah, no worries, James. It's Saturday. We're all giving everyone the leeway today to make some mistakes. All right.
If anybody loses money tonight, it's Saturday. So.
Yeah. Saturday's the best night to make money. All right, so we'll get started with the Canadiens Oilers game. Looks like a really good matchup. I'm very curious to see how the Canadiens face off against the Oilers. It seemed like they had a different stride against Toronto. They played really well. Josh Anderson was making an impact the entire game. So we can see here the first line, they project really well for us. They look a little bit cheaper today than they did against Toronto. I think Gallagher was up over 6K, and same with Tatar. And I think the Canadiens line, the first line is going to be matching up against the McDavid line. And we know the McDavid line's very poor defensively. Connor just likes to do the explosive up the ice for a quick goal. But in the defensive end, he's kind of weak. So this Deneau line should be playing against McDavid the entire night tonight. And I think it's a pretty good matchup. The second line, I like them a lot. They're going against the Draisaitl line. The Draisaitl line is better defensively, but I still think they're going to have trouble trying to defend Suzuki and Anderson. My only concern with the second line is that I do think they're going to get a lot more ownership than we saw last night, or 2 nights ago, sorry, in Toronto. But I still think they're a really good play, and it's an 8-game slate, so the ownership is still going to be spread. But just be careful, like when you fit them in with some of your other lines that may be chalky tonight, because I wouldn't be surprised if the ownership was a little high on them. And then the third line, they're decent. The Oilers' depth is pretty weak, so I wouldn't mind going to them. Toffoli's a really high shot production guy. And on the defensive end, it's the same thing as it is every night, where Montreal's defense always puts up good blocks and good shot numbers, and they play a lot of minutes. So I don't mind going Shea Weber. I think there'll be better options on the slate over or at the 6K and above mark, but you can't really go wrong taking him. He has one of the highest goal upsides on D. Jeff Petrie was someone I liked a lot the night the Canadiens play. He ended up getting 2 assists, 3 shots, and 3 blocks or something. Paid off a ton of value for me, so I'm going to definitely go back to Petrie tonight. And then I know you probably want to talk more about Romanov than I do, but I think Romanov's a good play, but just be careful with the ownership on Romanov tonight. 1 game sample size isn't enough for me to be overly excited about him, but he should be a good play tonight. You saw a lot of time on the power play.
Yeah, I just think you got to be careful with the recency bias in the Canadiens. Like you said, that second line's probably going to see a lot of ownership just because of how Josh Anderson played against the Leafs. But Josh Anderson is a good player, so rightfully so. And that Suzuki looks like the real deal, man. Like he was lights out against the Leafs. So I'm curious to see how they match up against the Oilers tonight, because you saw Toronto have a lot of trouble especially with the Montreal big back end. So, but speaking of their back end, I just like Romanov showed that he can play at a NHL level, and for 3,300, getting second power play time, just because Montreal likes to split their power play. I like that price for 3,300. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see a sneaky third line go off here, kind of, just because that third line on Edmonton looks atrocious, defensively at least. So I think you get a little bit of power play upside by taking Toffoli and Kotkaniemi, and I think it's not a bad just filler stack as well.
Alrighty. So move over to the chalk of tonight. McDavid, Draisaitl. They get ownership every night. So for me, I mean, I never go too high on the Oilers. I'm fine with being underweight on McDavid on most nights. I just feel like because his ownership's always so high that I'm never up to where the contest is at 20 to 30%, and it's going to be hard for me to get back there again. It's just a hard matchup against that Danault line, and then I'm just curious to see how he'll play against the Montreal defense. But I do think his speed will definitely help him expose that big, strong D-core that isn't really known for their speed. But if I'm going anywhere tonight, I'm going to the second line for the Oilers. I do like the Yamamoto price under 5K still, and Draisaitl's, just as much upside as McDavid provides. And, you can never go wrong with the Oilers taking a power play stack, taking Nuge, Draisaitl, McDavid, Barrie. They're always a good stack, so that's something that you can do to get different from what everyone else is going to do. But just be careful with McDavid and Draisaitl tonight. They're going to be super chalky. And then on the D side, I always like Darnell Nurse. Loves to shoot, loves to block, plays a lot of minutes. I really like Ethan Bear too. He's a really good player that plays a lot of minutes. And it seems that Edmonton really likes Bear and they want to use him more, and they have been. So his minutes have been up quite a bit this year. And then obviously Tyson Barrie. I would only play Tyson Barrie with your Oilers stacks. I wouldn't one off him at all. Just the minutes aren't there for me. And then Mikko Koskinen playing his 3rd game of the season this year. I saw that Mike Smith is out for indefinitely, so I'm not sure how many starts Stuart Skinner is going to get on the back end, but I don't mind Mikko Koskinen.
Yeah, I definitely agree that McDavid's going to be chalky tonight, just based off of his recent performance again. The thing that I don't like about the second line is I will never understand why Kyler Yamamoto isn't seeing any power play time.
Yeah.
Like, he's not even on the second power play unit. And this is a guy that was playing with Draisaitl last year that was at like almost a point per game.
I think he is point per game since he's been in the NHL.
Yeah, I don't understand what Edmonton's doing. Like, why have Alex Chiasson on your first power play unit when you have a guy like Yamamoto? Like I think I remember they were down against Vancouver, and Draisaitl made like a disgusting backdoor pass, and it was to Chiasson, and he just fanned on it. So more Oilers woes, but I'll definitely have a little bit of the two lines. But I think if I'm going just to be contrarian, I'll probably run a couple power play stacks as well, just because I feel like Tyson Barrie at 4,600 is obviously a little bit more priced up than he was before, but I still think that's a fair value, just like because of his power play upside with McDavid and Draisaitl. I probably will not touch the third line at all, though.
All right, fair enough. Okay, I'll move on to the Islanders and Rangers, the New York matchup. We saw a 4-0 win from the Islanders last game. If you guys watched the stream, I really liked the first line for the Islanders. I'm definitely going back there tonight. They do seem a little bit pricey, but that's fine. That the higher price they are, the less ownership they're going to get. They're a really good 5-on-5 line. They also have power play 1 correlation. Lee's an elite shooter. He shoots a lot, so I'm fine going with the Islanders 1. Seems like Islanders 2 is still way too pricey for me. I'm not going to pay up $6,400 for Nelson. I think he scored last game, but just doesn't interest me at all. I can't see myself going to the third line here either. And on the Islanders D-core, the only one that really interests me is Pulock. I know Leddy had 2 assists last game, but I just can't trust someone playing 18 minutes a night at 4,000. So I'm probably off Leddy tonight. Just taking Pulock on the Islanders side. And then for goaltending, Varlamov solid. He had a shutout against the Rangers. You should see decent shot total here. The Islanders are really strong defensively, so I can't see anything wrong with going Varlamov.
Yeah, I think it just seems like every time I don't take the Islanders, they absolutely pop off. So I'm definitely going to be a little bit more heavy on my Islanders stacks tonight. I think, like you said, Lee's an elite shooter, and then you pair him with Barzell and Eberle, and that's a solid line to match up against anybody just based on the way that the Islanders play. Even the second line, like it's around the same price as the Rangers second line, and you don't get that kind of elite upside with Panarin, but I think they're going to be a little bit more underowned. The third line just still I'm kind of off, and the D, yeah, it's if you're taking anybody, it's Pulock. I don't think I would necessarily touch anybody else just because I feel like they're a little bit priced up. But Varlamov for 7,700, man, like you saw him absolutely shut the door against the Rangers, and that's a good price for any Islanders goalie, I think, just because they're so like shut down defensively. I think that's a really good play.
Yep. They don't allow many chances either, so that's good. So we'll hop over to the Rangers side. First line looks good tonight. I'm not too happy with seeing Zib over 8K. I missed last year when he was like 6,800, and he was scoring every single night, but don't mind the first line. They're a little pricey, but their matchup against the Islanders won. It's kind of even. I do think the Islanders do have a little bit of an edge here, but I still think you can't really go wrong taking that first Rangers line. Now, the second line's interesting because we see Lafreniere's up there now. I'm more of a numbers guy where I get that he's a highly touted prospect, but I just want to see a sample before I go over the top with him. But, I mean, it does make the line better now that Kako's on the third line, I'm assuming. So I'm going to be underweight in the Rangers today. I usually am in teams that are playing against the Islanders, but for the third line, I'm probably not touching them. They do look pretty cheap. And I think he just crossed out D'Angelo there. We just got news today that he's not playing tonight. So I think this gives a pretty big edge to Adam Fox. I think we can see him on the top power play unit. His minutes should go up quite a bit. So I do like Adam Fox here at 4,900. Trouba's not bad. He projects well for us, but he doesn't play top power play minutes, and it's going to be hard for me to pick a D at 5K going against the Islanders. That's not playing top power play. And I think it's Georgiev starting tonight, actually, not Shesterkin. But I'm not too big of a fan of Rangers goalies. The Rangers just give up too many shots, too many scoring chances. So the only time you're going to see me taking the Rangers goalies tonight is just going to be with my Rangers stacks, if there is any.
It is Georgiev that's starting tonight, so that brings the price down a little bit more to 7,400.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and I agree with the Trouba take. Like for 5K, he does a lot peripheral wise and plays a lot of minutes, but like he just doesn't get that top end power play. Adam Fox is now on power play 1 that D'Angelo's out. The third line, Kako goes down there. That like cheapens the third line up a little bit, but I still don't think I'll be taking any of them. Like Di Giuseppe is just I don't know. It's like taking an Islanders third line. There's not really a lot of upside here. unless you want to get contrarian, that is. And then I think the line 2 is a line that I'm going to have a little bit of. I won't be over by any means. Again, like I agree with the sample size take on Lafreniere, and we'll see how he does playing on a line with Panarin. So this is a game that I'll be watching closely just to kind of see like how they mesh together, because that could be a line that potentially goes off in the future. And then, yeah, Zip for 8K is a little pricey, but I think it's justifiable. Like, he's just been fantastic as of late, so I'm definitely going to have some of him as well. Probably not as much as the field, but I'll still take a couple stacks of that line just due to Zibanejad in general.
Fair enough. All right, so the shootout, the 30 to 8 in shots, something like that for this the Hurricanes Red Wings game last week. So they're going to be chalk again. The first line's going to get a lot of ownership, especially Aho. They're still priced pretty cheap. I mean, you see Zib at 8K against the Islanders, and then you come over to this game and see Aho at 7,300 against the Wings. So I think the Hurricanes are good today. They are pricey, so just be wary of that. If I were to go anywhere, it would definitely be the second line. I really like the upside with Trocheck at 4,400. He's a high-volume shooter. He had 75 points 2 years ago or 3 years ago with the Panthers. So, I mean, he still has a little bit of gas left in the tank there. So I'm definitely a fan of the second line just because of the pricing and the value over the first line. But, I mean, you can't go wrong with taking either lines here against the Wings. The third line, they don't look too bad. I mean, the Red Wings have no depth. So you're fine going to the third line here, but I'm not too big of a fan of playing third lines. Dougie's 6,200, so his price came down $800. I think he had kind of a weak game against the Wings. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be taking some Dougie shares today at 6,200. He looks like a solid play and easy to pair with your Hurricane stacks. And then Mrazek got a shutout last night or 2 nights ago against the Wings, and he's 8,300, so he's a little bit more expensive. The shot volume's not really going to be there, but he has a really good chance at winning and a really good chance of getting a shutout tonight.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Reimer in net tonight, just because it's against Detroit, and I don't think it is Bernier net tonight. Okay, so I think Dougie's gonna be my second highest owned D. I'm just gonna ride him out until I see any type of differentiation between last year and his point production. So, but I definitely love line 2 with Trocheck being there. I think him over Stahl is just like a better option overall for the team, and Martin Neat just definitely brings the salary down a little bit. So, and then the first lines obviously I think is going to be good as well with that Aho Niederreiter Teravainen combo. They were solid, had a lot of shot volume. Just didn't see a lot of production in the last game, and I think that's going to change today, especially with Bernier in net for the Red Wings. So I'm definitely high on the first 2 lines here for the Hurricanes.
Alrighty. So hopping over to the wing side, the first line again, they're pretty pricey, but I'm gonna be taking some shares of the first line here for the Wings. They didn't really do much last game against the Hurricanes, but their price has gone down a little bit. I think Mantha was close to 7K last time, so his price came down. They have really good 5-on-5 numbers. With Stahl out, he's their defensive center on the Hurricanes, so this should make it a little bit easier for Larkin, Mantha, Bertuzzi. They're going to see a lot of minutes, power play 1. I know the Hurricanes took the most penalties in the league last year, so this only justifies why taking that first line with all the power play 1 correlation. And then the second line, not really much going on there. I'm not too excited about anyone there. And same thing with the third line. I'm going to stay off of them. And then the only defense that sort of excites me here is Filip Hronek. Power play 1, plays a lot of minutes, but I would only pair him with your wing stacks. I wouldn't want one off him. And just another note, Jonathan Bernier is at net today, and we learned last year that to always play your players against Jonathan Bernier. He's just not a very exciting goalie. He loves to let in goals. Poor guy, Swiss cheese. So this only justifies why the Hurricanes are such a good stack today. But yeah, Red Wings won. I'll be taking some of them today.
Yeah, I agree. I think that line was good last year. You may see a tough matchup against the Hurricanes, but they're definitely going to be under-owned, and I think they still have the talent to score. I kind of look at them like I would if the Eichel line had like Olofsson up there as well. I think that all three of those guys can score and produce, but it's just that the matchup against the Hurricanes that it's hard to kind of get behind them. And then I do like Philip Hronek's price for 3,600, especially if even the first line bangs in a couple power play goals. Like he'll be absolutely clutch just for his price there. And I'm not touching Bernier with a 10-foot pole, so.
Okay. All right.
Mike loves that one.
Yeah, that's funny. You always say that with the terrible goalies, Malcolm Subban. So the Leafs and Senators, I hope some of you guys caught that game last night. It's pretty interesting. I don't want to trigger you too much, but Leafs won, good value again. I would be surprised if we saw Thornton skate again on the first line. He just looked terrible last night. Could see Hyman come up to the first line. If that does happen, I'm probably going to stay. I'm not going to have too much of the Leafs here because Hyman's going to bring that price up to over 20,000. That's just a little bit too much for me for first line. Seemed like the Senators had a decent grasp for the second half of the game on the Leafs, but for the first half, the Leafs were in the Senators' zone the entire time. They just couldn't get anything going. But if I'm going anywhere here for the Leafs, I'm going to be on the second line. I just like Tavares' shot upside and his goal potential. His price is pretty good. Leafs 3 solid. They scored a goal last night. Kerfoot had a pretty easy shot from the point that just sneaked in through 5 bodies on Murray, but the third line seems to be pretty good value. If we see VC move down to the third line or Thornton, it'll just bring the price down even more against the Senators' depth lines. Seems like Riley's price came up a bit today. I still think he's a good option. He'll play a ton of minutes tonight, have a lot of opportunity to score. And then Justin Holl and Muzzin, both solid plays. I think Muzzin had a few really good scoring chances last game. I didn't end up getting that block bonus that I was hoping for, but and then Jack Campbell getting the start tonight. He's a solid goalie. The Leafs still should be a favorite in this game, even though they got smoked last night, but I don't mind Jack Campbell here.
Yeah, I definitely think you're still okay with Jack Campbell. You got to be careful, right? Because it seems like Ottawa did a really good job of keeping the Leafs to the outside last night. And that first Sounders line, which we'll get to in a second, was just an absolute problem. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if I saw some changes within the Leafs lineup tonight. I think having, like you said, Hyman on that top line is definitely going to make it really pricey. But so if I'm going anywhere, it's probably more of the second line tonight. Hopefully we see some Mikheyev on that line instead of VC. But again, like you just got to watch with the Leafs, especially because if they're down like they were against the Senators, you'll see Keefe pull like Matthews, Marner, Tavares for a shift too. Mm-hmm. So it's not the worst idea to do try and get a power play stack in, especially seeing if you can fit some of the cheaper filler lines on the slate. But I think it could go either way tonight. It could be the same thing as last night, or the Leafs could have a bounce back. I would just be lenient and careful to make sure that you have the correct Leafs lineups when lock comes in.
And follow our Twitter because we'll be tweeting out the lines. Going Fiala versus Kings, rolling with FP, not pumping Horvat versus Calgary. Yeah, Fiala was.
I think it's a solid option.
Yeah, he looked good against the Kings. So hopping over to the Senators side, I really like the first line again tonight. Power play 1 correlation. They looked really good against the Matthews line. Brady's just consistently fighting in front of the net. He had a goal, 2 assists, hit the shot bonus 2 with 5. So I do like the Senators 1 tonight. Senators 2, I think they're going to be pretty chalky tonight. For some reason, everyone's min salary. We finally got our first taste of Tim Stützle in the NHL. And another thing I was really curious about was seeing how Dadonov played, not with the big 2 on Florida. And he didn't really look too good. I don't know if you saw anything different, but I didn't notice him once in that game, to be honest. Maybe because when they were on, my eyes were on Stützle the whole time. But third line, probably not taking any of them at all. Nick Paul did look pretty good last night, but the fact that they're the priciest line on the Senators and they're on the third line is just kind of mind-blowing to me. And then I like Chabot. He played over 27 minutes last night. For someone that's playing that much, you guys know I love my minutes. If you're playing that much, you're going to get the blocks, you're going to get the shots. You should be on the ice for majority of the goals that the Senators do score some tonight. So I'm definitely going to Chabot tonight. And then we have Marcus Hoberg starting because it's a back-to-back game. We saw Murray played pretty good against the Leafs actually last night. So I don't mind Hoberg just because his price is low and he should get the save bonus tonight. but just be careful because I wouldn't be surprised if the Leafs scored like 6 or 7 tonight because the media is probably giving them some shit after what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking at ice time right now. It seems like the Senators are playing more of their supposed third line than their second line. Like guys like Stützle only had 12 minutes. Dadonov only had 15 compared to like you look at Tierney who was up there at 17:30. So it seems like DJ Smith is rolling with that third line a little bit more frequently. But I've never seen a supposed top 6 line at min price before, so that'll definitely be a filler stack. And just I feel like if I'm going anywhere, it's definitely the first line tonight. I think Brady Tkachuk is just an absolute beast. And you kind of predicted the breakout if he just gets going there this year.
I hope
it's not
so.
surprising. It's not surprising at all, right? Like they talked about on the broadcast how he's only he's second in that draft for scoring, which is just, if you go and look at that draft, it was a pretty good draft. So I love Shabbat tonight as well, 5,600. He was just an absolute like machine last night against the Leafs. He's just incredible. So I think if you're taking that first line and you want some power play correlation, definitely grab Shabbat. I think I'd even consider doing Shabbat as a one-off, like you said, just because of how many minutes he gets. And then I think Hogberg has been, if you're a Sens fan, you know that he's a pretty competent goalie. He had good time or good stats in the AHL. So for 6,900, that's not the worst punt play, especially if it goes similar to how it was last night, which is the Senators just boxing the Leafs out.
All right. So this is the game where we see tons of value. I'm just going to talk about it a little bit here. So the Blue Jackets' first line they're extremely cheap. I just did some digging right before we started the stream, and it seemed like the first line had 7 scoring chances for the Blue Jackets. They outplayed their opponents every time they were on the ice. I know we didn't see any goals from them, but as the advanced analytics look, that they should see some more luck this game. Line 2, I'm not too big of a fan on, to be honest. We do have Cam Atkinson's projection a little bit high, and I'm going to end up lowering it before we start the slate today. But I'm not too high on the second line. They had a tough time last game against the Duchesne line. Duchesne line kind of worked them for majority of the game. And then looking at the third line, they are extremely cheap. Foodie does have some upside. He's a first-round pick, and I know we have a big Liam Foodie fan here watching the stream in the chat. But I think if you need to save and you're going with like the expensive McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins line, you can definitely look at taking the Blue Jackets depth here. And then looking over at the D, looks like they didn't make any changes to the prices here. Jones is $200 less than he was the other night. So Jones is always a good play. He plays a ton of minutes, first power play, likes to shoot, likes to block. Same thing with Werenski. They're basically mirror players. It's just Jones is a little bit taller. And then Gavrikov's a good punt play. He loves to throw his body in front of shots, so you can't really go wrong here. And I think Merzlikins is actually pretty underpriced. The Predators are a lot worse offensively than people think. And Merzlikins is coming in at 7,200 tonight, so that's a pretty good play if you want to save some money. I think he's a good one-off goalie and a good goalie to pair with your Blue Jacket stacks.
Yeah, I love that price for Merzlikins there. I think this matchup is a lot closer than you can see in terms of the salary price for goalies, but I'm going to have some of the first line tonight just because like they're so cheap, right? And Bjorkstrand's a absolute shot machine, and Dubois has shown that he can be really effective offensively as well. Probably, like you said, not taking a lot of the second line. Atkinson's priced down from what he usually is, but still, like that line's more expensive than the first, and I think the first just has a little bit more upside. I do like the third line as a value pick. Like they're all pretty cheap, and they do match up pretty well in terms of just like the value you're going to get for that price. I definitely think that it's a good kind of filler stack if you're trying to do like a power play stack or something, for example, with some really high priced players. And then defense-wise, Werenski at 4,700 is pretty solid. I think like he'll get power play one time, and his peripherals are fairly decent, so I don't mind that price. Sorry, is it Jones? It's Jones on first power play, is it?
I think they both are. I don't know what the Blue Jackets do.
On daily faceoff, it's Dubois, Foligno, Bjorkstrand, Atkinson, and Jones. So I think Werenski's on the second. So maybe I'm a little bit higher on Jones tonight, but David Savard and Gavrikov are just kind of like punt plays. I wouldn't look too far into them.
Let me do some digging here on this Columbus power play.
Yeah, it was weird because I thought it was Werenski that was getting the majority of the first line power play time over Jones there, just towards like the end of the season and in the playoffs or the play-in, I guess.
1 second, I can find it here. So it looks like Werenski played 1:55 on the power play, and Jones played 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So 2:16 was the most on the team. So it looks like Werenski did get a ton of power play time, given the how much they had. But anyways, we'll move on. Looking over at the Predators, I do like the Predators' first line. They had really good 5-on-5 numbers 2 years ago when they were together. And last year, you can see the numbers here for the expected goals for and against. They were kind of weak, but given the sample size 2 years ago, I still do like the first line. Forsberg is a good shot production player. For Johansson, you're kind of just hoping for that 1 or 2 power play assists or just assists in general. So I don't mind the Predators' first line. The second line was really good against the Blue Jackets last game. I'm just worried they're going to get some ownership now because they did produce pretty well. They're very cheap. They project well for us, so I can see myself definitely taking the second line here for the Predators. Third line, I'm not too excited about. I do miss the Grimaldi, Bonino, Craig Smith line that had the best 5-on-5 numbers in hockey. But I'm not too excited about the third line here tonight. And on D, Roman Josi is the best Draftkings defenseman ever. I mean, this guy shoots 6 times a game, gets 3 blocks, plays 27 minutes. He's part of every goal. I mean, Josi's going to be my highest owned defenseman on every slate that he's on, so I'm going to be all over him again tonight like I was last night or 2 nights ago. And then Ekholm, his price went down. I mean, last year he was around 4K almost every single night. He's now at 3,200. He plays a ton of minutes, loves to put his body in front of the shots there. So I'm definitely going to have some Ekholm tonight. And UC Saros, 7,800, a little pricey for me. But I will be stacking Saros with my Predator stacks. I don't think he's a one-off goalie by any means.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they keep Dante Fabro off the power play. I'm pretty sure he got some power play time last year, but it looks like he's not on either of the units. So just outside of his, like, he does have a pretty good history of blocking shots for 2,700. So if that could be a punt play. But outside of that, I think it's Josi, and it's going to be Josi every night that he's on the slate. Like he's the best, like you said, the best DK's defenseman. So I don't know how much Preds will have. I think like this could be a really low event game just based off of the matchup against 2 strong defensive teams that don't necessarily have a lot of offensive upside, but. The first line, if I'm going anywhere, it's probably the first line just because of all that power play 1 correlation. Like all 3 of them are there with Josi as well. So if you take the first line, definitely make sure that you grab Josi with that stack.
All right. Roman Josi, everybody. You heard it here. I think everyone should be taking him tonight. So the Wild and the Kings. This was an interesting game. There was a lot of ownership. Oh my God, I can't talk. There was a lot of ownership on Kaprizov last game. Just the big name. So the first line looks good. They project well. They did play a decent amount of minutes. I think we saw Kaprizov over 21 minutes last game. So his price tag did go up quite a bit here, but I like Parise for the shot total. The lines, I think Parise and Kaprizov are on power play 1. If you can get me a little confirmation on that, but yeah, the first line's good. The Kings are just a weak team in general, so it seems like the Wild had control of that game for majority of it. Line 2, I really like. You guys know I'm a big Kevin Fiala fan. Seems like Bonino and Johansson are both under 3K here, so they're going to bring the cost of that the price of their line down pretty significantly. I know Fiala didn't score last game, but he did have 7 shots, so eventually he's gonna score. Seems like he's going back to his form he had last year, so I really like the second line here. The third line is also, they project pretty well for us, and they were pretty good last year too. They're a really cheap line, so again, another line that you can stack with your McDavid power play stacks, or if you want to take Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander. That's another couple players from that line that you can take for sure. And on the defensive end, they're really cheap. I had some Matt Dumba when the Wild played the Kings, and I think he had the shot bonus and an assist. So I'm definitely going back to the Wild defense here. They play a lot of minutes. They like to block shots and they like to shoot. So I'm definitely getting me some Spurgeon and Dumba.
Yeah, I'm looking at time on ice right now for the Wild, and I'll touch on the power play in a second. But like Spurgeon played 28 minutes last game, so that's for that price. Like that's 4,500. That's a solid play. His peripherals weren't great. He only had a shot and a block, but I like Dumbo at 4,600 too. Like 5 shots, like he absolute like value there. And with the Apple as well. So Talbot for 8K is a little pricey, just considering like how more like higher event the game was going to be than I thought. Like there were a lot of goals in that game, surprisingly. I thought it was going to be like a 2-1 win or something, but Kaprizov did look good on the first line, and he did play a lot of minutes. So just 2 shots on goal, like it's hard to get behind that, but like if he's putting up points and stuff, like he's getting power play one time. It's him, Parise, Fiala, Dumba, and Spurgeon for the first line power play. So I think if you're taking that line again tonight, definitely throw some Dumba or some Spurgeon in there as well. And then the second line, I'm like Fiala 7 shots, man. Like I think that line is gonna hit eventually, and they're going to be under-owned, and Bonino and Johansson just bring the price down, right? So I think that's also a good play tonight against a Kings team that is going to give up a lot of goals this year.
Yep. I'm just looking at the power play minutes here too. Looks like Fiala led the team in power play minutes. He played 6, had 4 shots and 2 high danger chances on the power play. So, I mean, I wasn't watching the game, but I'm assuming he had some pretty good chances. It looks like Dumba and Spurgeon both had 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So they do like to roll at that top power play unit. So I could definitely see taking Kaprizov, Parise, and Fiala as a stack here. It'll be pretty cheap, and seems like their power play had a lot of chances. They just couldn't score. So that's good to know. Moving over to the Kings side, not much to talk about here, to be honest. I'm just going to skim through this. If you're going anywhere, probably the first 9, power play 1 correlation. They're not bad, but there's just no one that excites me. The Wild's too good defensively. So I'm not too high on anyone on the Kings tonight at all. So I'm down to just skip this game if you want.
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention is, like, correct me if I'm wrong, was Oli Mata not like 2,700 or like 3,100 when he was playing on Chicago?
Him and Brady McNabb, I'll never understand why they're over 4K. I don't know what happened there.
He played 21 minutes, but like, I mean, he only had 1 block, 3. I mean, 1 block, 3 shots. Still, there's definitely I'd take Dumba almost every time over
Spurgeon, Werenski.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I'm with you on this one. I don't think I'm on the Kings at all tonight. I think Quick is just kind of a liability as well nowadays. But yeah, I'm off the Kings completely.
I'm very curious to see what Mata's ownership is tonight. I might just take him in 1 just to see. I might be the only person in the mini max, 9,000 other people. All right, Ducks and Knights, the chalk game from 2 nights ago, but. From what I'm seeing here, the Ducks are just overpriced. I don't understand how their players can be priced so high in such a brutal matchup against the Knights. So same thing for the Kings, as I'm going to say with the Ducks. They're just priced up way too much for my liking. I just can't get behind this 5,600 Raquel. Like the $15,000 Ducks first line is just way too much for me. Second line, I have no interest in. I know Ryan Getzlaf was good 4 or 5 years ago, but I mean, he shoots twice a game, so I can't get behind any of these lines on the Ducks. Defense, nothing for me. But I mean, John Gibson at 6,800. We know he's an elite goaltender, just kind of hidden behind this terrible Ducks team. But I don't mind Gibson at 6,800 as a one-off goalie. I don't think he'll get any ownership tonight. And it's just a really brutal matchup for the Ducks tonight. I just can't see myself going to anyone here.
Yeah, I'm still baffled by the price of these Ducks players. Like Getzlav at 5,200, Silverberg at like 49. Like, what is going on here? Um, I mean, like I don't even want to touch the third line because I like Vegas's third line so
Yeah.
much. And Hampus Lindholm at 5,400. Maybe Josh Manson just because like he blocks quite a bit for 31 just as like a punt D or if you need like a cheap D. But I do like the Gibson call though. Like unless the Knights absolutely pull a Colorado and go 8-0 on the Ducks, I think Gibson's going to see a lot of shots and he's going to definitely be under owned. So if for some reason we see some kind of anomaly tonight on the ice where Gibson puts up 50 saves and it's like a 3-0 game for Vegas, you're still getting a lot of value out of that pick.
Fair enough.
I'd be careful, right? Because Vegas could just run away with it.
Definitely. Is Fiala going to be good this season? I absolutely think so.
I love Fiala this year.
Fiala's going to be really good this year. Hey, fellas, hope your day's been great. Your thoughts on Lafreniere on ESPN? Is he worth keeping? Yeah, I would keep him on your team. I would keep him, like if you're in a keeper league, he's definitely someone you can look at keeping for the future. Yo, what's up? What's up, Jagmeet? Good to see you back here. Just to let you guys know, like we're going to be streaming like our Draftkings stuff every day around this time. But on Sundays, I'm going to be streaming the season long. So if you guys want to come in, we'll recap the first week. Any players that you're looking at trading or how your team's doing, everything. Like we'll have a nice 2-hour stream there where you guys can just pick my brain a bit and we can have some discussion on the NHL and your fantasy team for this week. So that'll be on Sunday. I'm excited for it. Hope to see you guys all there. If you guys are liking the content so far, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be doing this every day, so this just helps us get in the algorithm, get more people in the chat, and get some more discussion in the chat as well. So we'll hop over to the Golden Knights side. So their ownership was way higher than I thought it was going to be. I was way off. I just remember last year, like they were so good, and they never got any ownership. So I mean, I'm going to go back to them tonight. They're a little pricey, the first line, but their expected goals for numbers are unbelievable, 5-on-5. They're going to be working the Ducks the entire game. So I'm definitely going to have me some Golden Knights 1, some Golden Knights 2, and some Golden Knights 3. They're going to be really good. I have no concern about them tonight. It's just a matter of how you want to play them. Some people like the second line more than like the first line. The second line projects better for us, but I mean, you can't go wrong with either. Stevenson does bring the price of that line down pretty significantly. And on the defense side, I can just see myself going to Pietrangelo. I did have some Alec Martinez, and if I'm seeing, is Braden McNabb 5,300?
There's no way.
Is he more expensive than Seth Jones?
No.
Okay, well while you look, I'm gonna answer some questions.
I'm gonna check that
now.
Now.
So Jerry had 2 bad games against the Flyers, who they're going to be the best team in the league this year, maybe top 3. Like you can just argue that you might as well drop Binnington after last night against the Avs. Like it's the same thing. So I'm not worried about him. I know you have a different take than I do, but I'm not worried about him.
Braden McNabb is 5,300.
I don't want to talk about that. We're just gonna ignore that. Nolan Patrick first line. So my guess for tonight is that we see Patrick on the second line. We could see Giroux centering the top line, or Hayes. So if Hayes doesn't move up, I'm gonna assume Giroux's gonna go to the first line, and then we should probably see Morgan Frost in tonight for the Flyers. Wouldn't be surprised. I haven't got the text yet from the insider on Morgan Frost, but definitely could see him playing tonight. And then Robin Lehner. He's expensive.
Philly doesn't play tonight.
Oh, sorry. Bling was asking.
It's tomorrow, I think.
Oh, whatever.
Oh no, it's not even tomorrow. But yeah, if Couture's out, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, it'll be curious to see what teams go to in terms of like their taxi squad. But I definitely like that take on Giroux moving up to center on the first line. I think that's probably the most likely option.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we'll everyone's just gonna forget about Braden McNabb at 5,300. That's just that's a miss. I don't know what happened there. How many minutes did he play last game? Can we get a number on that? I'm so curious to how this price, like, it's crazy. It's crazy. he might be one of the most overpriced players I've seen in DraftKings. This is my second year or third year doing it. So
Even if he played the whole game, I don't even think that's justifiable. He played 23 minutes.
would you recommend picking up Peter Mrazek or Marchessault? Well, it kind of depends on your needs, Lion. Like if Marchessault's available in your league, that's kind of crazy. But Mrazek has the best odds at winning tonight, so Mrazek's probably one of the top goalie options. And then Marchessault, I don't know why he's even available. I'm pretty sure he's in my top 100 list. He's a high shooter too.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll talk about this Canucks Flames game. This is going to be a really fun late night game to watch. I'm fired up for this. Canucks won. They looked really good last game. They're gonna be good this game against the Flames as well. They're priced down pretty significantly. Besser still he's still not over 5K. So Virtanen does bring the price down a lot, and I really like Canucks 1 tonight. I also really like Canucks 2 tonight. You guys will see in my video I'm posting at 4, but Höglander played 8 minutes on the power play last game. 8 minutes on the power play. So aside from the big 4 of Besser, Pettersson, Horvat, and Hughes, Höglander was 5th on that list for minutes. So that's awesome. I really like the second line tonight. Höglander's 3,600. Pearson's a big shot volume guy as well at 4,100. So I like the second line. Not too much to say about the third line here. And then on defense, Hughes is priced fairly at 5,200. I don't mind Hughes. I wouldn't take him as a one-off defenseman. I would take him with my Canucks stacks. And then Travis Hamonic, I'm going back to him again. He burned us. No, actually, he didn't burn us. He got an assist late in the last game. But, yep, going back to Hamonic tonight again. That's where Braden McNabb should be priced, just like Dovi Das is saying. I can't believe, like, McNabb's. I don't even want to talk. I got to stop bringing it up. It's just making me upset at this point. But, yeah, Hughes, Hamonic for me tonight. And then I'll probably get a little bit of Braden Holtby, even though I'm not a Holtby guy at all.
Yeah, it's tough to get to Holtby, and I'll talk about the Flames after you're done there on your end. But I think like the fact that Besser hasn't gone up in price yet is just a huge, like, my eyes just widen when I see that top line with Pettersson. Line 2 as well. Like, I think Nils is definitely going to stay in the top 6 now. I think that's pretty solidified. So if his price stays down, I think that's still a good option. He's getting a lot of ice, so I like the second line as well. And then Quinn Hughes 5,200. I'm gonna pair him with my Canucks. I'm gonna see if I might put together a Canucks power play stack here. But Hamonic for 3,400. I still think, just based on like his time on ice and his peripherals, I still think that's a good price for him. I'll probably be a little less on Holtby than I would say Markstrom, just because I feel like Holtby's really declined it. He's not the same Braden Holtby that he was. I'll just say that. And for 7,500, I think that's still a good price, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he sees a little bit of ownership.
Yep. Yeah, he will, just because of the recency bias. He looked good against the Canucks.
He did. He looked great.
So the mysterious Calgary Flames with the 1% ownership in one of the best matchups against Winnipeg. I mean, I wish they did more, because I had a ton of them. I had 27% of them in my lineups, and they were owned like 3%. I think they scored 4 or 5 goals. So going back to the Flames tonight, it's a good matchup against the Canucks. If you've seen some of my other videos, I've outlined that the Canucks are actually a well below average defensive team. So give me some Flames 1, give me some Flames 2 tonight. I like how Levo brings the price down there. He didn't do much on that line, but I'm definitely going to go back to them. I do like the power play stack as well with Lindholm, Tkachuk, Gaudreau, Monahan. And then the third line, you can see the little note here left by Dovidas in the chat. Get Mangiapane back to the top 6. He was unbelievable with Matt Tkachuk and Backlund. I missed that line. They were super good 5-on-5. They probably one of the sneakiest lines last year in DraftKings. They won us a lot of money, but third line looks good here too. Canucks depth isn't too strong. They're just kind of a dump and chase line. So I like all 3 lines for the Flames tonight. And then looks like Rasmus Andersson's price went up, but I am all over him again tonight. Anyone in here that's watched my videos from season long, pick up Rasmus Andersson. He's a stud. He led the team in power play minutes, led the team in overall minutes. I'm way off of Giordano. I'm surprised his salary didn't drop significantly, because he only played 19 minutes last game. Giordano. 19 minutes. I bet you that was one of the lowest he's seen in the last couple of years. And the Markstrom, the return to the Vancouver Canucks. I like Markstrom tonight. He's a solid goaltender. Should see some shot volume. I'm gonna pair him with my Flame stacks when I got the opportunity. But give me some Flames tonight. Give me this game. 6.5 implied total. What do we have on this? I gotta check. I'm gonna look. What's your guess? I'm saying 6.5.
Yeah,
it's 6.5. Yeah. Give me some Flames. Give me some Canucks. Would you drop Spurgeon for Anderson? Oof, that's a close one. Do you have anyone else you can drop? I would probably keep Spurgeon for now. Do you have anyone else to drop for Anderson?
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say pick up Anderson just because their peripherals are kind of similar. I don't think Spurgeon is like a huge shot volume guy, but the biggest difference for me is that Anderson's on that first. Oh, wait, wrong Anderson. I'm assuming he's talking about Rasmus Anderson.
Yeah, he is. Or Craig.
Okay, so then, yeah, Craig Anderson. No, I think Rasmus Anderson just being on that top Flames power play is just a little bit more upside for me than Spurgeon would be on Minnesota's power play.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But in terms of this game, like you said, I was absolutely shocked at the ownership last time. I think the Flames match up really well against the Canucks. That second, and they look like they're back in the regular form, unlike last year. That third line is still good. Geo at 6,500. It's just so nice to be able to take a Flames power play stack and not have to pay 6,500 for Geo. Rasmus Anderson at 4,200. Until his price gets to around like I don't know, maybe 5
plus.
Even, yeah. I'm just gonna keep running with him. Like you said, he's an absolute stud. Does everything you want from a defenseman. He's very sound defensively as well. So. And then just you can see his offensive upside playing on power play 1. I'm gonna have quite a bit of Flames tonight.
All right, love that. Okay, so we got a couple questions here. Rasmus Anderson or Slavin in season long categories. Another close one. You guys got some close picks here. Toronto versus Ottawa. Yeah, I can scroll up. There you go. Anderson or Slavin.
That's tough.
I think you just gotta look at your decor and identify what you're missing. Like if you don't have any like defense that are giving you power play points or assists, like if you have a lot of defensive defensemen, like if you got Ristolainen, Slavin, Suter, like players like that, then I would probably take Anderson. You just got to identify that decor. You think I should keep Lindblom because he's not on any PP? One sec. Lindblom or Josh Bailey? Oof.
Ooh.
I mean, Bailey's power play too. Is there anyone else available?
Lindblom.
Drop Dylan Strome for Rasmus? Yeah, I'm okay with that. It just seems like the Blackhawks are not good right now, and Strome got moved to the second line. I was reading some tweets about how Pia Suter was impressing so far, so that only adds another negative to Dylan Strome. I'm not too big of a Dylan Strome fan either. I wasn't too excited about his third overall pick, to be honest. Spurgeon for Anderson though, that's a great question.
Yeah, I think it's so close, like outside, unless like you're really keen on like, I don't even know like what to me like they're just such similar players, and just the biggest difference is that Anderson is playing with Kachuk, Lindholm, Gaudreau, Monahan, and then Spurgeon's with Minnesota.
Fair enough. Toss up is a fine answer.
Honestly, it is. It's a tough one.
Yeah. So favorite stocks tonight?
I'm still on the Vegas train, man. I'm gonna have some Vegas. I'm definitely lower on the Leafs tonight.
Fair enough.
I think the Hurricanes are gonna be my highest own. Just that matchup's too nice against the Red Wings. I know it's chalk, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the Oilers Canadian game is the highest scoring game tonight.
All right.
I think the Flames Canucks one could also be up there as well. So a lot of good options tonight, right? I'll definitely be a little bit more spread than I usually am.
For sure.
What about you?
Islanders 1. Give me some Islanders 1. Give me some Flames. And then going back to the Canadiens again tonight. They were the nuts last week, and gonna like them again this week. Yeah, so if you guys are enjoying the content so far, feel free to leave a like, subscribe. I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow night, so Sunday night. I'm not sure what time. I'll have it scheduled, maybe 7 o'clock, or maybe at 3 during the day. We'll see. And we can go over all the season-long questions you guys have for me. We can have some discussion, talk about everything that's gone on over the past week in the NHL, injuries, news, and what to look forward to for the week coming up. If you guys are into Call of Duty or any video game content, hop over to Aimless Charlton's Twitch channel. He has some really fun and exciting content. He's a really good Call of Duty player. You guys can go in there, talk hockey with him. He'll answer all your questions. You can just watch some casual content there. Head over to his YouTube channel, Aimless Charlton, same thing. If you guys are looking for some updates on player changes, line changes, goalie starts, follow us on Twitter at @fantasy_puck. And we'll just answer some last questions here. I see Lion has one in the chat. With Couturier being out 2 weeks now, I think Hayes... So yeah, Lion, my prediction is that Giroux's going to center that top line. Hayes will be on the second line, and then Patrick will stay on the third. But if Hayes does move up, then his value is going to go up significantly because he's going to see more time on the second line. So yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. It was a fun stream, and I hope everyone wins some money tonight.